In this video, we will do the walkthrough of the DDoS protection plan creation process and how to assign them to the virtual network. I am on the Azure portal. First, let's go ahead and create the resource group to host the DDoS protection plan. So we call this resource group DDoS protection plan RG. That is what we're gonna call. We can place this resource group into Australia East region, and let's go ahead and create this one. All right, now we can search for DDoS protection plans. All right, and create a DDoS plan. Select the resource group that we created, and we can name this one my DDoS protection plan. All right, in Australia East. Now read this message. You can create a single DDoS protection plan and apply it to resources in all of your subscription. That means only one. Okay, let me correct this name. I think that's my poor eyesight. My DDoS protection plan. So what does it mean? You can create a single protection plan, and usually this protection plan is created in the hub, and you assign that to all your virtual networks, right? That's one thing. And second thing is that if you got a multiple tenant, you can still make use of the single DDoS protection plan and apply across your multiple tenants. You know why? Because of the cost factor, and we'll get into the details soon. But let's finish this up. Now, this is the minimal information that you need when you think about creating a DDoS protection plan. Next is tag, and we are not bothered about tag in this particular demonstration. And when we say review and create, now just do not go ahead and create this one just like that. Make sure that you understand the cost implications, and if you when you click on this link, this page will pop up. Now understand this. There are two types of DDoS protection plan we talk about, right? One is network protection and second one is IP protection. For network protection, you can see that there is a flat charge of 4,552 Australian dollar in Australia East region. And this plan supports up to only 100 public IP. It's a flat charge. You might have less than 100 public IP within your workload, but still you will get charged this much. And if you run over 100 public IP, then per public IP, the charge is going to be this. So it's very essential to understand when you go for the network protection plan. And second thing is that the IP protection. Suppose you just have like a 3 to 4 IPs, public IPs within your workload, then you might prefer this particular plan or this plan, and that is a kind of like a difference. It's just like a 308 per IP per month, and if you got around like let's say 100, only that time it makes sense to go with this particular plan, or 100. I think you have to see that break-even point. I think in this particular case, let's say if you got 10, right, or 15, then it could be 15 IP, I think, around this one, So then I think if you got like 10 to 15 IP, I think then this is the plan that you can go for. All right. But anything less than 10 IP, I think this plan could be much more cost effective. That's one consideration. All right. So I am not going to go ahead and create this one because there is a flat charge, and I am not sure whether I would get charged because I created this and assigned to the virtual network. But this is the way that you create a DDoS protection plan. Now you got an idea, right? There is nothing. You just name it and you just like select the resource group and you create this plan. This is the thing related to DDoS. Now how do you assign that? Suppose you got that created, then what do you do? I think, do we have this network? We select this one, All right. I think rather than doing this first, let's try to create another one, so that you know exactly what you can do. So we need we call this one as we need DDoS test one, something like that in Australia East. Here at the time of VNet creation itself, if you got the data network protection plan created, you can just select the time of creation itself. We don't have that created, right? So we can't go ahead and select that plan, but this is how you can assign the data's protection plan at the time of creation. And in this experience, it's just a name, right? You just select the name. You don't see the possibility to assign the data's protection plan if you are referencing the data's protection plan from some other tenant or some other subscription. I think that experience you don't see in this particular case, right? So let's close this and think that now we got a virtual network created. So if you got a virtual network created and you enabling DDoS protection, I think this is a usual. This is the most preferred way people do it, because when you do the development of the solution, usually DDoS protection plan is not enabled at the time of development itself. When your workload is going to the production, only that time I think is the right time to enable the DDoS protection plan, because there is a monthly flat charge, right? So usually it is done at the time of production rollout, or you taking your solution to the production, right? And you have your virtual network created, and then you come back something like this on the virtual network and you enable your DDoS protection plan, right? You select your DDoS protection plan and enable. That you can see with this particular experience is that I know my resource ID. Now you know that within Azure, when we create every other resource, that resource get a resource ID. Now, if your DDoS protection plan is in a different subscription or in a different tenant, this is how you can basically supply that resource ID. You just need to ensure that, that particular resource in a different tenant or subscription has a right permission for this particular resource group or virtual network. Okay, that is what you have to ensure. But having that single DDoS protection plan is a good thing. Okay, it just because of that high cost. If you keep creating a DDoS protection plan, then you would be charged that flat rate. If you're creating that network protection plan, right? That is a key thing to understand when you go for the DDoS protection plan, right? And once you do that, then your network is protected. And again, most important thing, DDoS protection plan plays a role when you have a multiple public IPs, many public IPs within the solution. If you don't have many public IP or you don't have a public IP at all, it's just basically the private workload hosted and it's not internet facing, then I don't feel that it makes any sense to go and apply the DDoS protection plan. That is a thing to understand, right? Now, once you have a DDoS protection plan, how can you monitor that, right? I think what is the thing we can do? Let's see, we can create a one public IP address, just to make sure that we understand that. We create a public IP address. Okay, let's get this resource in place first. And we call this one my public IP address, something like that. IPv4, all other things is okay. And my PIP, and let me give some unique number as a DNS label. And let's ensure that it's okay. It looks okay. And let's go create this public IP. All right. Now we got a public IP within that particular resource group. And when you have a DDoS protection plan, then you should create a alert to monitor whether your public IPs are basically DDoS or not. So how do you do that? Now the public IP is in place. Let's get to the Azure monitor, and on the Azure monitor, you can go to the alert section, and you can basically create alert rule. All right, so create the alert rule. You select the scope. I think scope here, my public IP, that is what we created. You select the scope and add a condition to it. Now, signal name. What is the signal name? This is where you can see some of the the popular signal name that you can choose from, such as like under DDoS attack or not, right? And you saw many of them there, but I think the popular one was a 2 to 3, right? So you choose something like this. You say, then count is more than 1, or you can say count is more than 10, something like that. And you specify the action. Action means somebody should get notified, right? So you can action group. Action group is also kind of resource. Let's pick up the same one, and we call it as my action group, something like that. And display name my AG. It has to be only 12 character long, is 4, and then we specify the notification condition. In this case, we go with email, and name this one as email. All right, and let's specify this guy. Let's I think add an email here. I'm just going to add an email called securevantage.outlook.com. and now I think we think some error here, and let's not bother about that. I think once we select that, I think it goes off. Yes. All right, and then you say next action type. We don't want to choose anything, but you can do some kind of automation as well, right? Such as like fire some kind of logic app or Azure function, depending on the nature of the application. You can do that one also, review and create, right? So create. So now what happened, you got your resource group there. You select the resource group, and you basically saying this is going to be, let's say, warning critical. You select the severity of the alert. You might say that this is a warning sign, and you name that like solution app 1 is being DDoS, something like that, and you provide a kind of description for this particular alert, right? Again, tag review and create in this particular case, and now you would be in a position to monitor the DDoS that is happening on a specific IP address. All right, that is how you put the monitoring in place also. So now you might have got understanding that what are the different things that you need to consider when you choose to apply the DDoS protection plan, right? One, cost factor. Second thing is that you can't simply go ahead and keep creating in every other subscription. Third thing is that you need to ensure that you got a public IPs, right? And it's always a good practice to have a single DDoS protection plan. You might have multiple tenants, but having single DDoS protection plan would help. And you know that now how to reference the DDoS protection plan sitting in a different subscription, and how you can reference as well in the subscription where there is no DDoS protection plan, right? So many things to consider when you think about rolling out DDoS protection plan, right? That's all in this video.